John Cena showed up at the premiere.
Yeah, what'd you think about that?
I mean, he's doing a last run, which should be the next 12 months of
Yeah, we're going all the way to December.
his last run here. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Now, I haven't really been too excited with some of his matches he had recently. And
I think that goes.
he admits, and I think that's the kind of the whole idea. Maybe this was the whole plan, and I feel like it was that he was going to lose a couple matches, not feel like he's at 100% back in it, feeling a little rusty. And if that was the storyline, then they played it off. They played it off because, I felt it too. I think this is going to be good. I think he's going to go full force. I think he's going to give everything he's got. It's going to be like watching the old John Cena back. It's going to be ruthless, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Do I see any gain from it? When it comes, I think this is just going to be a fun year for him to showcase what he's still got, create some fun storylines, maybe some serious storylines, because he's quite the comedian these days. Will he win the Royal Rumble? He did mention he was going to do that. I don't think so.
You don't think John Cena's going to win the Royal Rumble?
I don't think they're going to waste some. I don't think so. I honestly think Roman Reigns.
You think they're going to go with Roman?
I don't think he's done, dude. We were
just talking about guys getting booed out of buildings. The last time that happened before Hulk Hogan was Roman Reigns when he won the Royal Rumble. So dude, I don't know if
he is a face now, bro. He is a face now, and the crowd, if we don't think they miss him, then we haven't been listening.
I think people miss him. I don't know how much they miss a 1,300-day title reign.
I'm not saying he's going to win the Royal Rumble and then go to WrestleMania and win the championship back. I just have a feeling there's more to his story ongoing than there is letting John Cena win his last Royal Rumble and then him disappearing at the end of the year, probably not winning the championship off of anybody at WrestleMania because of winning the Royal Rumble. I just can't see the longevity here of a guy who's probably going to leave. He's most definitely going to leave. And he's going to choose one of our top champions to face to probably lose to them.
Here's what I think. Plays out, because I don't think you're wrong, but I think you're dead wrong.
I think it would just be a complete fucking waste. When you could have somebody who's potentially, 90% chance of taking the title off of either Cody Rhodes or Gunther.
I think when we look at this, we have to look at John Cena's, farewell tour as him running the circuit for the last time, going to all the places he wants to appear at for the last time, maybe relive some nostalgia there. I think he does want to cut some really good stories and promos and have some fun in the ring with some talent maybe he's never mixed it up with before, and even some familiar faces. Really just like give everything he's got to say goodbye. Not a lot of wrestlers get the opportunity to do that.
For sure.
And so I think he's going to take full advantage of that. I also am of the mind that I don't think the WWE loses anything if he wins the Royal Rumble or a championship for that matter. Because here's how things play out in my head. You got to work backwards. You got Gunther and you got Cody Rhodes holding the champions or the championships. So those are your champions going into WrestleMania. You have to work backwards. Who is facing those two guys that's going to put on a great storyline and give you what you want coming out of WrestleMania? I don't think it's viable to say it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. We've already seen that for 2 years in a row. I don't think we're getting a third match this year. I mean, they took up basically 2 matches on the card last year.
You're right. That's true. It's true.
So that means Roman would have to go up against Gunther. But I also don't think they're in a position right now that they want to make Gunther look incredibly weak. And they'd have to, in my opinion, they'd have to put Roman over Gunther. I don't think they could put Gunther over Roman
Okay, so
because
where you're going with this is let's say John Cena does win the Royal Rumble.
I think he goes after
Do you
Cody
think he goes
Rhodes.
see, but then we got face versus face. And now don't get me wrong, their story would be good for sure. Promos would be excellent. You know, the legacy between it all would be the history between it all would be great. I mean, I think it would be really cool if John Cena chose then Gunther.
I mean, I'm not opposed to that. But here's the thing. One of the reasons why I think it would be Cody Rhodes is, first of all, I agree. Face versus face doesn't really interest me a whole lot. And I'm not even 100% sure that I really love that matchup. I just know it would sell a lot on a marquee, right?
For sure.
So if I'm planning in terms of business and this is the farewell tour for the championship, WrestleMania headlining main event match, I feel like you put more butts in the seat if you have Cody Rhodes going up against John Cena versus John Cena and Gunther. No offense to Gunther. I think he's a great, phenomenal talent, and I think there's so much more that they could do with him in the World Heavyweight Championship than they're currently doing. But we
Agreed.
still don't know what the outcome of Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens is going to be. And if you notice, Cody Rhodes is already on this really strange course right now with his own inner demons. Maybe not anything that's really stressing him out except for KO, but one of the things that I've noticed is he's a loose cannon. He cannot keep his temper in check. What if it's possible Cody Rhodes ends up turning heel? Do you think
There have been many talks of Cody Rhodes turning heel, and we've seen him in some heel action, and it would be quite exciting to see him, you know, become heel. I mean, I've always been a believer though that, you know, one champion's got to be heel and one champion's got to be face. You know what I mean? That's just that kind of balance and that yin and yang kind of thing. So I can see it happening. I don't know how it will happen.
I don't know. I think it would take some clever writing, but here's my
For sure.
prediction. I think John Cena wins the Royal Rumble. He challenges Cody Rhodes, he wins the title, and he drops it to somebody by SummerSlam. I think you give him a couple months with that 17th run. He breaks the record. We all get to see John Cena as a world champion once again. We get to relive that. Maybe it's nostalgic. Maybe it's exciting. Maybe it's boring because we don't know what his schedule is going to look like. But we all get that. It's going to be incredible. And then by SummerSlam, we drop the title. If it's not SummerSlam, it's Survivor Series. There's lots of time before December comes to make it meaningful, pass that torch on, and then we ride out into the sunset. Who knows? It could even very well be that Randy Orton takes the title off of him. Who knows? And then maybe that sets up Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, and then you got a good story on your hands after John Cena leaves. I think that might be a course of action. At least that's how I'd like to see it play out.
Mhm.
But who knows? Who knows?
My second pick to win the Royal Rumble, though, would be CM Punk. I think there's a long story attached to the win of the Royal Rumble. You know, considering last year, you know, getting injured, really wanting that WrestleMania match. Um,
Right?
this year, there's a good opportunity that they might give him that WrestleMania match. Now, you know, it could be not involved with the Royal Rumble and they still give him that WrestleMania match. But, you know, because of last year, I feel like, you know, winning the Royal Rumble could be a huge goal for him and leading to a WrestleMania match. Choosing again, I think a lot of things lead to Cody Rhodes. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? Like again, like you said, Gunther's fucking powerful. He's a great heel. He's a great champion if they would just, I don't know, use him properly. I don't know if he's in a state of story right now that's very concrete and
Interesting.
powerful. Yeah, it's not really, you know, setting him up very well. You know what I
I feel
mean?
like
I feel like he's fallen right into the Damian Priest situation where, sure, Damian Priest was big. He was powerful. He was, the leader of the Judgment Day.
yeah.
So we thought. Um, and I feel like there's, I feel like they didn't know what to do with Damian Priest. And now that Gunther's champion, I don't think they know what to do with him either.
Well, it's a very different title run for Gunther with the World Heavyweight Championship than it was when he was the Intercontinental Champion.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like night and day. I mean, it was exciting when he was the Intercontinental title or champion. With this world title reign, it's been kind of boring, 100%. Like I've never been more disinterested in his character or what he's doing as far as storylines go. Like we got this set up between him and Jey Uso coming up at Saturday night's main event, and I think WWE in itself already spoiled that match because Jay the week before, I think it was on SmackDown, Michael Cole or somebody, I can't remember who it was, basically announced that Jey Uso is going to be in the Royal Rumble. So we already know he's not winning a title on Saturday.
Right.
Which I don't know, maybe that's just an oversight in the writing, just made it less interesting, less of a draw for me.
Right.
But I think when we start looking at like CM Punk, okay, so if CM Punk is your second pick to win the Royal Rumble, I think that's a great option. That would probably be my option as well. But there's only room for one guy to start checking off boxes on their bucket list. And when you're going up against John Cena, who has limited time, and who knows what that looks like as far as how this year's going to go for him, I think maybe he becomes the priority because there is no next year. With CM Punk, there is a next year. We could do it next year. So I don't know. I do see a Rumble win in his future, whether it's this year or the following year or literally any year. And I do see him eventually getting his WrestleMania main event. I just don't know who it will be against. Because like you said, Cody Rhodes is the more viable option. I can't see CM Punk going over Gunther, but I can see him going over Cody Rhodes. Because here's the way I look at it. When you come out of this match, you have to be better off than you were when you went into it. And I think anybody that goes over Cody Rhodes in a main event at WrestleMania is going to be better off for it because it's Cody Rhodes, the man that defeated Roman Reigns. What does anybody get? Well, not anybody, but what does CM Punk or even a guy like John Cena get by defeating Gunther? It doesn't really catapult them. In fact, it just makes Gunther look weak. So I
Yeah.
don't think
No,
they'd
for
want to
sure.
do that, right?
For sure.
But if you put somebody over Cody Rhodes, I don't know, it's the aura. It's the aura of the American Nightmare. If
Yeah.
he loses, it's not a big loss. You know, he'll lose. We've already stomached that. We've seen him lose before to Roman. We've seen him lose to Brock Lesnar. It's okay. It's okay if he loses. But whoever's holding that title next needs to be one step further above because they've already showed us that whoever's holding the WWE championship, they're in it for the long haul. There's no short title runs. I mean, he's already been champion for almost a year.
So that kind of puts a little idea in my head where it's like, then why John Cena? If we're looking for the next champion, why put John Cena on there for him to just lose it soon after?
Because I think at this point, it's not a
Because
matter of
I just go off of this feeling because I always hated when somebody came in, a legend came in to take the championship when you've got literally, this is random number, but 20 main eventers waiting in line. And that light is being stolen by somebody who's just doing a legacy run. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's when Goldberg comes in and all these other guys come in. Brock Lesnar, for me, is one of them, is that he keeps coming in and overshadowing all of these guys who, I mean, for 2 years, we had Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. We had Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes. Brock Lesnar, they always just used him, but again, overused him where it would overshadow all these guys who I feel like deserve some sort of title run or some sort of main event storyline. And I just, as much as I love John Cena, I feel like he would just be getting in the way for
See,
what's to come for
I
some of these
don't.
guys.
No, that's a fair way to look at it. I probably, if you asked me 10 years ago, I probably would have felt the same way. I feel like I'm leaning more and more towards just the creative writing process. I feel like I agree with you. If you got all these main eventers, why not give them a title reign rather than this other guy who's just coming in to do his legacy run to, his last lap around the course? I think it comes down to the writing because in that same breath, we can probably both admit that Gunther, a guy who deserves a world title run, is getting one right now, and it couldn't be more boring.
Then John Cena should take the title from Gunther.
So I mean, sure, like let's do that, but that's where I think the writing comes into play, and you got to look at it from that perspective. If the creative team doesn't have anything for you and they're doing a shit job with you, I I can see why they would write in, okay, we're going to give the title to Brock Lesnar because we're going to make this title mean something for a little while. We have some ideas. It's fresh. It's new. New. Um, I can see them doing something with John Cena only because he would elevate the title, whether that's through an open challenge and he brings it back.
But do you
It
think they
would.
could do that without the title? Because I think they can. I think they could give
I
him one of his best runs yet with creative without actually having the title. Because like most people say, and every time I talk about, you know, what tag teams deserve a tag team title, most people are like, the titles don't mean shit. When it comes to who deserves what, when you know that they're just as good anyways without the title, right? Because for the
yeah.
longest time, I was like, Street Profits deserve the championships, and they always did. I'd still hold true to that, is that at their prime, they definitely deserved some sort of title run. But what people kept telling me was that they're good enough without it. They don't need the titles to be the best tag team in that time period. So I mean, that's just another the thought process of mine, is that I feel like they could give him some crazy awesome stories throughout this without the title, or at least even without being in the title scene.
No, that makes sense. I just look at it from this. Hear me out on this. Business, right? It's business. At the end of the day,
No, for sure.
it's his last run. I think they want to sell some t-shirts. They already started making new ones. I do I anticipate that we're probably going to end up seeing a John Cena t-shirt that has "The champ is here" written on the waist. I think there's something nostalgic about John Cena and the WWE championship. I think because he's John Cena, he made the championship mean something for so long, whether it was the United States title or the WWE championship. Um, I mean, the world heavyweight title did elude him, so it's something that we could potentially see. Because I mean, synonymously, we know him with the spinner belt. I I just think there's so many ways that they can go about making the title important and not taking away literally from anybody. Because what is a year? Less than a year, really, when you really get into the fine details. WrestleMania happens in the spring. By the time December comes, John Cena's out the door. He's done. It's not like he's coming back. He's not pulling a Brock Lesnar showing up out of nowhere on a regular basis. Let the man have his flowers, and then we call it a day. We continue business just as normal the next year. As long as everything is entertaining and the stories make sense, and it's still uh, the title's still of importance, and it's not just a placeholder. I think there's really nothing wrong with it. Because otherwise, why take the title off of Cody Rhodes to begin with at all, and just let him have another year? Um, so I don't know. That's kind of where my head's at right now. There's lots of people that I think have an opportunity to become a world champion in the WWE, but I, I think there's a time and a place for that, and I think it will happen eventually. I just think that this year is the year of John Cena. I say let the man have let him have his fun. Let him have his fun. The guy's done enough for the company. it's in contrast to what I said about Hulk Hogan. Um, the difference is that John Cena, I still he still has it in him. I think he could have a good one more title run. We'll see what it looks like. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see him hold the US title at some point and then drop it. And then pick up the WWE championship and drop it.
Which
Because
US
here's the thing.
which US title though? Do you think he's going to go after Chelsea Green?
Well, yeah, I think that's a natural course. 100%. But no, like, think about it from this perspective as well, right? We were talking about getting people over and being better off from where you were before you went into that title match. I think if you put the title on somebody like John Cena, especially in his last year, whoever beats him for the championship before he's done, that person is the person that dethroned John Cena for the very last time. And that in itself is an accolade worth repeating in promos for years to come. I I just hope they don't give it to somebody like Austin Theory, because God forbid that ever happens again. But I I think there's a lot to be gained, not just for John Cena, but for the fans and for anybody who's actually facing him over the course of the year, especially for the person that beats him for a championship.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
It just has to be done well, man. It just has to be written well.
It just has to be
Otherwise,
written well.
Otherwise, what do we got for the next year? We got Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes deciding that they're going to work together for a while until they decide that they're not going to work together. And then we got Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the third time. And they're just fucking churning them out like they're Rocky movies. And, like, I don't know.
No, I think their time is done. I think their time is done. I think I'm leaning more towards CM Punk more than Roman Reigns, actually. It does all starts to make sense, but I can see it. I can see it both ways. Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of potential,
For
regardless
sure.
of who wins.
For
But
sure.
I think those are the top three. And I wouldn't even I'd even bet money that those are your bottom three in the ring: Roman Reigns, CM Punk, John Cena.
Yeah. Oh, the top four in the last guys in the Royal Rumble.
You know what? Just to throw in an extra name, I'd say Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins. I was going to say the same thing. I was like, yeah, throw him in there as the fifth guy. Those guys are the last guys in the Royal Rumble for sure.
What are your thoughts on TNA and WWE merging together and how that's going to affect the Royal Rumble?
I mean, from what we've seen already, now it's more legit. You know what I mean? They've got a contract, they've got a partnership. We've seen WWE promote the new TNA Genesis pay-per-view. Now we've seen some NXT and TNA crossover for the last couple of months, at least last 6 months, maybe even longer. I can't remember the timeline here, but we've seen Jordan Grace come into NXT. We've seen Joe Hendry come into NXT. We've seen the Rascals go into NXT. There probably is a couple others, but I think this is absolutely amazing. This is one of the biggest things that if you were to ask me if this was to happen when I was a kid, I would have never believed that this would happen ever. And TNA has been one of my favorite promotions since way before I can even remember. I mean, there was a lot
TV.
of Spike TV. There was a lot of times that if I wasn't watching WWE or just fell off somehow, I'd always find my way back to TNA. And likewise, if I ever fell off TNA, I'd find myself in WWE. And I think this is a great opportunity, especially for NXT, and especially there's huge benefits for TNA. We've seen TNA kind of, go over a couple hills, dip down a little bit, and come right back up somehow. But they've always been thriving in a way that works for them and that keeps them going, especially their fan base. You know what I mean? But when you're talking about the talent that TNA has always provided, and now they get showcased on a bigger stage, maybe not a bigger stage, but a bigger production, bigger company that's got huge advertising and huge fan base that will be able to showcase some of the TNA talent. And with NXT, you know, being sort of what they used to call the development show, is now being showcased through different paths here, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. I'm so excited to see more of it. Um, you know, like I said, I saw Genesis today. There was some NXT wrestlers who came to you know, to create some sort of storylines and stuff, and to continue storylines from when TNA was in made some appearances in NXT. So we've already seen it brewing. And I, you know, I couldn't be more excited. I'm excited to see what can come from it. You know what I mean? When it comes to
Yeah.
maybe a conjoint pay-per-view. You know, and one of my biggest favorite times of all time of wrestling was the WCW and WWF invasion. And
Yeah.
if we can get some sort of feel to that where, you know, NXT has a full roster of a team, and so does TNA, and the best of the best come to have this huge pay-per-view. You know, you got the leaders, you know, you got the biggest tag teams coming together. I think it would just be fucking brilliant. Would it have been already done before? Sure. But not in this time. You know what I mean? Especially what wrestling's like now, you know, the crazy rosters that both shows have. I think it would just be absolutely insane. But
It-
I'm excited with whatever they're gonna give me because I'm like a kid in a candy store. We got TNA and we got WWE teaming up together. I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. Who do you think? Who do you think from TNA is going to be appearing in the Royal Rumble? If you had to pick a couple names, who do you see guaranteed in the men's or women's Royal Rumble uh, from TNA? I think there's
Well,
some choices.
today there was many answers of what's going to be happening for sure. Genesis showed us a lot. Josh Alexander just quit TNA in an I Quit match against Santana. Um, I think he's coming to WWE. So I think he's most definitely going to be in the Royal Rumble if that's the case. I
Right.
can't really see him going anywhere else, but somebody might know something more than I do. But I think he's going to be in the Royal Rumble for sure. Jordan Grace, we've seen her before in NXT. She's the former Knockouts champion. I think she also just did her last match in TNA tonight, and I think she's heading to WWE. I think she's going to show up at the Royal Rumble. Hell, I think she might even win.
I was just gonna say I think Jordan Grace is my prediction for
Yeah.
who wins the women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, she's a beast, and to have someone like her as a champion, I don't know where she would go. I mean, I would assume maybe NXT since that's kind of like what they've been doing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I can see her. I can see her becoming champion too. I can see a full history with her right now, developing just not even entering WWE yet. So I'm pretty stoked. Those are my two big choices because Josh Alexander's an absolute beast too. Um, he's got ties with Ethan Page as well, who's in NXT that just came from AEW. So yeah, those are my two biggest ones. Joe Hendry, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So my two picks. The one for the women's Royal Rumble would be Jordan Grace. Wouldn't be surprised if she won the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's a clear cut answer, honestly, for the men's Royal Rumble. I think without a doubt, Joe Hendry is going to make his appearance in the men's Royal Rumble. And you know what? Just for like shits and giggles, I'm gonna give you the bottom five. It's going to be CM Punk, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Joe Hendry. I think they're gonna I think they're gonna let Joe Hendry coast as long as he can in that Royal Rumble just to give everybody a little bit of hope. Because we believe in Joe Hendry.
I
And
definitely
to
believe in
see
Joe Hendry. And do you remember when he came to the NXT Battle Royale?
yeah.
He was instantly thrown over.
Instantly.
So he didn't get a lot of time in there.
But I think it would be great, man. What a way to catapult the guy and allow him to showcase himself, standing amongst 4 other great, amazing talents in the Royal Rumble. I think that would just be incredible. I think most of us watching would not believe what we're seeing. But speaking of not believing what we're seeing, with this merger at the Royal Rumble, here's a question for you. Is it going to be Nick Nemeth in the Royal Rumble or Dolph Ziggler in the Royal Rumble? Because I don't think anybody's talked about that one yet. What happens with these guys that have changed their names and have different personas over in TNA, but we know them very well in the WWE? Are we going to see Nick Nemeth make his WWE debut? I mean, not a lot of guys get to debut twice in the WWE. This could be incredible.
It's true. It's true. I mean, some have changed their names many times in WWE, but this one would be a little bit more serious. I think he would come as Nick Nemeth for sure. I think if he's going to belong to the TNA and represent TNA, I think they would take him as, I think he would make an appearance in WWE as Nick Nemeth for sure. I think Dolph Ziggler's gone. But it is a funny thing because there's quite a few people who are in TNA who used to be in WWE. You know, and same as AEW, you know, if anybody ever left to come over there, you know what I mean? What about their names, right?
Yeah, this one's just a little closer to home though, because it's like, you know, you left the WWE and now you're working for another company. It's just a
that's now tied with the WWE.
Yeah, you know, like it's now it's tied to it. So it's like, are we supposed to suspend complete belief here, or what are we supposed to expect with some of these wrestlers that we already know who they were within the WWE?
And here's the thing, maybe they find it way too complicated, just like we're speaking of it now, and go, yeah, he's not coming. He's not invited.
Yeah.
Not to say he wouldn't be. I think from my understanding, they're on good terms. You know, he wanted to move on.
Well, it's done
and do better things,
career.
which, you know, he did. You know, I think he got a little stale and stuck in WWE at the time. And I think this was a great opportunity for him to leave and become huge in TNA.
Absolutely.
But does the name stop him from coming over to the Royal Rumble? I think there's a 50% chance that could be a situation for sure.
I don't know. I think the pop would be huge.
Oh, I think it would be huge. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think it would be funny too. I think the crowd would find it funnier if he did show up and nobody knew how to cheer him on. It was like,
oh,
you know, you've got half of the crowd shouting Dolph Ziggler. You got half of the crowd shouting Nick Nemeth. You know, it would be funny for sure.